Well, it seems like you guys took your talking to from Peter Reid to heart, and if you're far too young to wonder what I'm talking about, well, here's what I mean.
Important that we get that ball back as soon as we can. Let's go and win it. All the very best, boys.
Thankfully for all of you, I will spare you the shower scene that we remade earlier today. We'll cut that from the show. But I do have as much reason as you to celebrate, because I also achieved a perfect 3 from 3 weekend on the Premier League picks last time out, and propelled myself, like you, up the season-long table into a share of the lead alongside Matt Furness, and even better, and I'll whisper this very quietly before my bosses hear me, we are actually outperforming the supercomputer. But shh, keep that between us for now. Oh, and congratulations to Kev as well for recording his first points of the season. Right then, on to this week's fixtures, and as you can see from the polls that we published on @Opta Analyst, we're changing up a little bit this weekend. And where else can we start but with the current Premier League leaders and the top goal scorers in the competition, as West Ham United welcome Crystal Palace to the London Stadium, with David Moyes' side looking to make it 3 wins from 3 to start a campaign for just the 3rd time in the club's history. It's a feat they achieved previously in both 1958 and 1983, and it seems like you in our community are also forever blowing bubbles at the moment, with the overwhelming majority of you picking West Ham to come out on top in this one. Their goal-scoring feats so far this season also setting a new mark for them, with the 8 strikes, their most after 2 games in a top-flight campaign since the 1930-31 season, when they went one better. For this man though, and despite the draw against Brentford last time out, it's probably not a good time for Patrick Vieira to be facing yet another London derby. Crystal Palace are winless in their last 10 games against other sides from the capital, scoring just 7 goals and conceding 19 in the process. And perhaps that's playing into our win probability model, backing the Hammers to be victorious in this one though, giving them a 49.3% chance of victory, and having become the club's all-time leading scorer in the Premier League with his 48th and 49th strike against Leicester last time out, Mikel Antonio could become the latest West Ham player to score 50 times in the top flight in this one. The last player to do so was Tony Cottee, who achieved the feat back in the 1985-86 campaign. Right then, time to welcome in one of the analyst contributors to the show now. And after last week's episode, we got a little bit of fan mail. You can email to us at editors@theanalyst.com. More than happy to receive stuff, and I'll also send you a reply as well. But last week, we got a couple of emails in asking us, where's Ollie gone? Why is he not on the show this week? Well, we don't want to let our fans down, or Mrs. Hopkins who sent in those emails. So here's Ollie with his thoughts on the outcome of the game on Saturday at the London Stadium.
What a start it's been for the Hammers so far. 2 wins from 2, 8 goals scored, and the highest XG of any side in the league thus far. Of course, they've been led by Antonio and Said Benrahma. Antonio is now West Ham's all-time leading Premier League goal scorer, and since the start of last season has the highest non-penalty XG rate of any player in the league. Benrahma, he's been involved in 7 goals across his last 7 Premier League matches, and those 2 really are the key for West Ham in this one. The Palace, it's been the same old story of a lack of goal threat for them. They haven't scored in their first 2 games under Vieira, and the last permanent manager who saw his side fail to score in his first 3 games in charge was actually Frank de Boer for Palace back in 2017. With Eze and Elise injured, they feel like they haven't got that creativity to back up Zaha going forward. West Ham are absolutely flying. Palace finding their feet under Vieira, so a home win for me in this one.
That Frank de Boer insight doesn't make for pretty listening, does it, Eagles fans? And perhaps it isn't unsurprising that many of us analyst contributors are following in Ollie's, the win probability models, and your community thoughts in plumping for a West Ham victory. As ever though, we have a couple of dark horses in the pack, with Duncan and Kevin believing Palace will at least be able to salvage a draw in this one. No messing around today, as we've got another 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff to look forward to, and another side with a 100% record in the Premier League so far this season, as Brighton and Hove Albion welcome Everton to the Amex Stadium, hoping to secure 3 consecutive wins in the Premier League for the first time since October of 2018. However, as you can see from our win probability model, goodness me, this is going to be tight. But it actually favours Everton to be victorious, which would be quite something, as the home side has never lost in 8 Premier League meetings between the two sides, with Brighton winning 2 and drawing 2 against the Toffees at the Amex Stadium. We have to go all the way back to April of 1983 for the last time the Toffees tasted success in Brighton, that coming back at the Goldstone ground. Now, that's not to say it's going to be impossible for Everton to be victorious in this one. Only Liverpool and West Ham have had more shots on target than Everton's 14 so far this campaign, and even my fairly basic math skills knows that's an average of 7 per game, which is far more than their average of 3.9 from last season. Now, I'm not going to lie to you here, we deliberately put this game into the show this week as we expected it to be a tight call across the community for the outcome, and just take a look at this. For the first time in the short history of the Analyst Hat-Trick, we have a tie where you are going against the win predictor and backing either a Brighton win or a draw, but it is very close between the 3 potential outcomes. I know maybe it's a little harsh to force you to choose in this one, but let's see what Ollie has to think about the game.
Have Brighton finally shaken off their XG curse? They have 4 goals and just over 3 XG and have 2 wins from 2. So maybe, but also maybe not, given we've got a long way to go still. Neil Maupay often got a lot of stick last season for his poor finishing. He has 2 goals to his name already. That's as many as his prior 18 matches coming in to this campaign, while Brighton are converting their shots at a far higher rate than last season, albeit given that's a very small sample size. In midfield, Basuma is an absolute destroyer who's so good at breaking up attacks before getting Brighton away on the front foot. I think for the Seagulls this year, a top 10 finish is well within their grasp. For Everton, they've had a bit of a more mixed start with obviously a win and a draw, but they've been very fun to watch. The games have been chaotic, pretty goal-friendly, which is a bit weird for a Benitez-coached team. Both games have seen 4 goals with both sides scoring. But in general, Everton are getting away more shots than they did last season. Almost 5 more a game, again, albeit a small sample size. So it'll be a good match. The home side's never lost in 8 games between these two sides. I'm going to rule out that away win. But given the home advantage, I'm going to go with Brighton to win this one.
So all 3 outcomes have been chosen before we even get to the rest of the analyst team picks. Pat on the back to the producer who devised this show and only took 3 weeks to get this sort of outcome. However, us contributors are also going against the win probability model, with Duncan and Johnny joining Ollie in their belief we'll be seeing Brighton be victorious this weekend, whilst the rest of us believe it will be a draw. So either we are all right, or the computer overlords will be wreaking their revenge come next week. Elsewhere on Saturday, and the pressure is beginning to build for Mikel Arteta's side as they head up to face Manchester City. They've lost their opening 2 league games for the second time in the last 4 seasons, having done so in just 1 of their previous 63 campaigns before that. And as you can see, our win probability model isn't backing their fortunes to change this weekend. Another unwanted record could await as well. Arsenal have only failed to score in their first 3 league games in just 2 of their previous 117 seasons. Elsewhere, our model is predicting success for Leicester, Newcastle and Aston Villa. And that's all before we turn our attention to the evening battle of the 100% records, as Jurgen Klopp comes up against someone that has proved to become a little bit of a bogey character for him. You see, having just lost 1 of the first 13 matchups he had against Thomas Tuchel in their managerial careers, he has managed to lose the last 2 consecutively. And there have only been 3 managers in all of Klopp's career who have recorded 3 successive victories against him. I'm going to give you a little bit of thinking time. I'll come back with the answer for that one in a second. But let's turn it over to our win probability model, which is seeing the Reds come out on top in this one with a 48.6% chance of winning. They've only lost 2 of their last 13 Premier League matches against the Blues, although one of those defeats was in the most recent matchup in March. So you want to know the answer to the teaser I posed you just before that model? Well, we have to wind the clock all the way back to 2006 and 2007, where the Thomases of Dole and Schaff were able to record 3 successive victories over Jurgen Klopp. But there has been one manager who has managed to do it twice, and he might not be fondly remembered for his time at Fulham, but Felix Magath was able to do it twice. Once whilst Klopp was at Mainz, and also was the only manager to do so whilst he was Dortmund manager. Fascinating, hey? Maybe the answer is just to hire Felix Magath again. Let's bring him back. But maybe that isn't the answer, because you in the community believe that Tuchel will make it 3 from 3 and join that list of greats, as you are backing the Blues to be victorious. Only Manchester United have won more Premier League away games against Liverpool than Chelsea, 7. So Ollie, what do you think will be the outcome in this one?
Everywhere you look in this one, there are contests to savour. Klopp against Tuchel, Van Dijk up against Romelu Lukaku, all over the pitch. There are some great matchups and battles to be won and lost. Chelsea, they march on. Since Tuchel took charge of them in January this year, they've picked up 44 points in 21 games at a 2.1 points per game ratio. Only City have 1 more points over that time frame than the Blues. They look very strong, they look pretty brutally efficient, and they beat Arsenal last weekend with relative ease. Liverpool, they have started the season where they left off last time round. They've won their last 7 Premier League matches, which is their longest winning streak since that incredible run of 18 in a row came to an end in February of their title-winning season. They obviously have Van Dijk back at the heart of the defence. Him being back gives the side so much more confidence, and with him in there, they are, of course, once again, title contenders. Liverpool have fired in the most shots in the league so far, and have the second highest XG, tied with Man City, whereas Chelsea have faced the fewest shots in their 2 games and have the lowest XG against. So it could be a case of these two sides cancelling each other out in a must-not-lose match, so I might back the draw here.
Thanks for your contributions today, Ollie, but I think you are wrong in this one. In fact, I think all of my colleagues are wrong. I'm backing Liverpool to be victorious, and even believe Diogo Jota will become the 4th Reds player to score in the opening 3 games of a Premier League campaign, joining Fowler, Sturridge and Mane in a new version of the Fab Four. As ever, we don't leave any stone unturned and any game without our win probability model here on the Analyst Hat-Trick, and it's a great trio of matches on Sunday for you, with our model seeing it being a day full of cheer for Spurs, Leeds and Manchester United fans, meaning that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be able to celebrate his 100th Premier League game with a new Football League record of 28 away games unbeaten. And I'll whisper this bit quietly for you, almost like I'm turning into Bob Harris here, another reference for the kids out there. Of the 8 Manchester United managers to take charge of 100 games in the top flight, only one of them will have won more games than Solskjaer so far in his time at the club. Nope, not that guy. Or even that guy. And not even that guy either. But this guy, Ernest Magnell, he won 54 games in the top flight. Solskjaer at the moment stands on 52, so could make it 53 with a victory in this one. However, of those 8 Manchester United managers, in their 100th game in charge, only 2 of them have actually won that game. Nope, he isn't one of them. It's these 2 instead, Sir Matt Busby and Tommy Doherty. Well, thank you very much for tuning in once again to the Analyst Hat-Trick. I hope you have enjoyed the show. Really do appreciate it. If you'd like to send any email in to us, please do so, editors@theanalyst.com. And of course, make sure you're following us on Twitter as well. That is @Opta Analyst. Obviously, no show next week. We're off on an international break, aren't we? But we will return for game week 4 of the Premier League season. Until then, make sure you're heading over to theanalyst.com, the home of data-driven storytelling. I'm Graham Bell. On behalf of everybody here at The Analyst, until next time, goodbye.